Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY-31 News at 4 starts now.
We begin at 4 with a look at an active WAAY-31 storm tracker early warning radar network. A severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Madison County. Plus, battling inflation. The Federal Reserve raising interest rates by 0.75 percentage point, the largest rate hike in nearly 30 years. Developments in the fight against COVID-19 in the U.S. An FDA advisory panel voting in favor of Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines for kids between 6 months and 5 years old. Thanks for joining us for WAAY-31 News at 4. I'm Nikhil Williams. We begin with this heat wave in North Alabama now. We have weather team coverage for you this afternoon. WAAY-31 meteorologist Grace Anello is live at Toyota Field ahead of the Trash Pandas game tonight. But we begin with WAAY-31 meteorologist Rob Elvington. He's in the Storm Tracker Weather Center right now, monitoring storms to go along with this heat. Rob.
And of course, that dangerous heat and humidity is what's fueling these storms that really started to develop in the last hour to hour and a half. So there's a look at the WAAY-31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network. You'll notice the yellow polygon over Madison County. That is that severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 4:30 here this afternoon. It's mainly for the hail threat, which could be damaging size hail, but also some gusty winds. And again, if you go back over the last 2 hours, we were clear on the radar, but all of that heat and humidity just fueling these storms developing. And you'll notice that this first one in Madison County is now allowing for more storms to form off to the north and off to the west into Limestone County. We'll zoom in a little bit closer. There's downtown Huntsville, and you'll notice that the core of the storm that we're worried about is to the south, right along the Parkway, where you see these bright whites on the map, the pinks. That's indicating where we have that greatest hail threat. And look how strong the storm is. You'll notice that we're seeing very tall thunderstorms that are developing closer to about 40 to 45,000 feet if we take a slice of the storm. So this is kind of a 3D view of it. And when you start to get storms nearly up to 50,000 feet, that's when you're going to really start to see some hail developing. And that's what we're seeing right now. I just looked at the hail size right before we started the show. It was well before we started to see the blue showing up. So it's definitely closer to about a ½ inch to an inch in size at this point. Again, just to the east of the Parkway, as you head through southern parts of Huntsville, that's where I'm seeing the largest hail. And of course, we'll continue to follow that. Also keep a close eye on storms that are developing off to our south and southeast. Stronger storms moving in from out of Georgia here later this evening could bring even more strong to severe storms. Look at the current conditions right now. It's 98 degrees in Muscle Shoals, 96 degrees in Huntsville. Feels like temperatures right around 107 in Muscle Shoals, 108 in Huntsville. Huntsville, we actually were close to 111, 112 earlier this afternoon. It's the highest heat index that we've seen in about 10 years. Trash Pandas game casting, and we got those storms nearby right now, so they may have to put the tarp on the field here very soon. And we are back up to right around 96, 97 tomorrow. Stray storms are possible, but more heat to go along with that storm threat. And we have another heat wave on the way coming up soon. But first, we're going to head over to Toyota Field. Hopefully, Grace Anello is staying safe out there with those storms nearby. Grace?
Yes, hey guys, hey Rob. Well, we are dry at the moment. Toyota Field looking pretty good, looking dry at least for the moment. We're here with the WAAY-31 Storm Tracker powered by Lynn Layton Chevrolet. We're out here right at the front of the Pepsi gate. So if you're gonna come by today, the first 50 kids that come see us are gonna get their own WAAY-31 Storm Tracker backpack. I've got one, all my friends want one. I know you guys wanna be a part of the team. Well, make sure you bring your water with you like Rob said, and like we've been saying all week, the heat index today, the highest of what we have seen in quite some time, folks. So we've got water here. There's plenty of shade underneath the concourse right there at the field, and they do have some water stations inside. So come on out, join in the competition, meet the team, see the Storm Tracker powered by Lynn Layton Chevrolet, and watch the Trash Pandas take on the Montgomery Biscuits. I think it's going to be a good day for a ball game. It's a little hot, so we're taking our precautions here, but North Alabama, we're used to the heat, and we know just what to do to make sure that we stay safe. So come on out. We'll see you when you get here. We look forward to meeting you. And right now, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Grace, thanks. With more hot temperatures expected to wrap up the work week, make sure you take a moment and download our WAAY-31 Storm Tracker weather app. You'll have access to live weather updates for your area. It's free for Apple and Android devices. New information about your money now. The Federal Reserve aggressively raising interest rates again today. It's the third time they've done that this year. Now, the move is an effort to bring down record high inflation, but it's expected to have an immediate impact on how much Americans will have to pay to borrow money. ABC's Jay O'Brien reports from Washington.
Tonight, the Federal Reserve announcing the largest interest rate hike in nearly 3 decades. raising rates by 0.75%, trying to cool off an overheating economy and bring down record high inflation.
We at the Fed understand the hardship that high inflation is causing.
The rate increase sparking fears the economy could enter into decline, causing a recession, or worse, so-called stagflation, when rate hikes don't bring down prices but do slow the economy to a point where wages stay stagnant and unemployment rises. The more the Fed raises interest rates, the more Americans have to pay to borrow money, affecting everything from credit cards to mortgages. The average 30-year mortgage rate already up from 3% at the start of the year to above 6% now. All while the typical American family is now paying an additional $350 every single month. Gas prices alone up 49% compared to last year. President Biden now sending this letter to the major oil companies, blasting them for raking in record profits while so many Americans are hurting, and calling on them to increase their production of gas and diesel to help lower prices.
Jobs are back, but prices are still too high. COVID is down, but gas prices are up. Our work isn't done.
But Americans still feeling pain at the pump.
Everything is going up except our paychecks, and this is not right.
President Biden is expected to address those record high gas prices when he travels to the Middle East next month to meet with leaders from that region, especially Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, to pressure them to increase their oil production. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
All right, Jay, thanks. On Wall Street, stocks rallied in a roller coaster day of trading surrounding the Fed's announcement. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 304 points to land at 30,669. The Nasdaq Composite Index added 271 points. The S&P 500 added 55 points. As prices climb, more people are turning to credit cards to make ends meet. But economists worry with the Fed raising interest rates, credit cards will plunge some people into deeper debt. WAAY-31's Chris Tatum shows how borrowers can keep their head above water.
From gas,
it's a beast to fill up,
to groceries.
The chicken has went extremely sky high.
Meat is so high. Even eggs have gone up.
And just about everything in between.
Chips are $4, so I used to be able to come here and maybe get them 1 or 2.
Prices just keep going up. Inflation's at a nearly 40-year high right now. And credit experts worry when people spend their salary on essentials.
Seems to be just a wheel that goes round and round.
They'll pull out the plastic to pay for pleasure.
Credit cards come with an APR, annual percentage rate. It determines how much interest you pay on all those purchases. The problem is, these days, the U.S. Federal Reserve keeps raising interest rates to offset inflation. Put another way, it's not just expensive to buy, it's expensive to borrow.
Consumer experts say right now Americans owe more than $840 billion in credit card debt. They recommend you pay off credit cards before the Fed raises rates even higher, starting, they say, with your card with the highest interest rate. Once you pay them off, they say lock those cards up for emergencies only, and set yourself a budget and stick to it. Bottom line, most Americans agree while we wait for Washington to figure out inflation,
All the arguing and bickering trying to divide us between parties.
we've got to make smart choices for ourselves. Chris Tatum, WAAY-31 News.
We'll have to do what we can. Great advice, Chris. Thanks. New developments on our nation's economy emerge almost every day. Make sure you stay up to date with the latest information by downloading our WAAY-31 News app. You can also find all of our coverage on our website right now at WAAY-TV.com. Well, it's a day many parents have been waiting for. An FDA advisory panel voted in favor of Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines for children between 6 months and 5 years old. The FDA says both vaccines appear to be safe and effective, producing similar antibodies against the Omicron variant, like the adult vaccines. Moderna's is 2 doses.
This is a really big day. We're going to finally see that last group now eligible for the vaccine. It's really the home stretch for so many families who've been waiting in the wings to get their kids vaccinated.
Now it's up to the CDC to give the official green light. While many parents may be relieved, it's unclear how high demand will be. A recent survey found only 1 in 5 parents of kids in this younger age group plan on getting their kids vaccinated right away. Here's a look now at the COVID-19 impact on our state. The Alabama Department of Public Health says the state's positivity rate is nearing 20%. More than 5,700 people tested positive for the virus in the past week. According to the most recent data, there are now more than 250 COVID patients hospitalized statewide. Happening now, authorities in Limestone County are searching for a convicted sex offender. Tony Glover ran away when an investigator from the sheriff's office stopped by to do a compliance check. It happened last week. If you see him or know where he is, call authorities. Today marks 1 year since the deadly mass shooting at the Mueller fire hydrant factory in Albertville. 3 people died that day, including the shooter. Authorities say Andreas Horton shot and killed David Lee Horton and Michael Dobbins before taking his own life at a Gunnersville cemetery hours later. Isaac Bird and Casey Sampson were both hurt. Coming up at 4:30, we take a look at where that investigation into the shooting stands right now. And for the family of a former Marine from North Alabama who left the state to go help fight the war in Ukraine, lost contact with him. According to a release from Congressman Robert Alderholt, Andy Tywin hasn't been in touch since June 8th. He left Hartselle back in early April. Alderholt says his office is trying to get any information from states departments and the FBI. A disagreement in the investigation into the January 6th Capitol riot. The House Select Committee and Capitol Police with different perceptions of this video, but why? Plus, the debate over stricter gun control in our country heats up. This says the suspect in the Buffalo mass shooting faces the death penalty.
And there's a view from up top here in Montesano of that severe thunderstorm impacting parts of Huntsville right now. This view is brought to you by the Thompson Roofing and Construction Sky Camera Network. We've got the severe threat and we've got the heat threat. We are still sitting at a 108 heat index right now, and the dangerous heat continues through this work week. I'll update us on that storm and the heat coming up.
New at 4, the Capitol Police and the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th riot are at odds. The issue, this tour of the Capitol complex, Georgia Republican Representative Barry Loudermilk gave the day before the riots. The Capitol Police said they looked at surveillance video of that tour and saw nothing suspicious, but you can see a man appears to be taking photos of areas that typically wouldn't interest tourists, like hallways, staircases, and security checkpoints. The committee also released footage that appears to show that same man marching to the Capitol the day of the riot, but there's no evidence he went inside. The committee's next public hearing is set for tomorrow. Well, several states are now grappling with the results of key primary races last night, especially in South Carolina, where Republican voters soundly rejected one incumbent critic of former President Trump, who voted to impeach him. But last night's results indicate Trump continues to have great influence with GOP voters.
In South Carolina this morning, Congresswoman Nancy Mace celebrating victory over her Trump-backed primary opponent, Katie Arrington.
I didn't get any of those kinds of endorsements after I won the nomination, and so to see that unity come forth is a really big deal to keeping our party together.
Both Mace and fellow South Carolina incumbent Republican Representative Tom Rice drawing former President Trump's ire after criticizing his role in the deadly January 6th insurrection. Trump making it a personal mission to oust them from Congress.
Unfortunately for the patriots of South Carolina, you currently have two atrocious rhinos. They're bad people in the House.
But Rice, who, unlike Mace, also voted to impeach Trump for his role in the Capitol attack, was forced to defend that decision to voters in his deep red district for months. And last night, Rice facing a stinging defeat in his primary to Trump's preferred candidate, Russell Fry.
I had hoped that the situation would be reversed, but again, this seat doesn't belong to me, it belongs to the voters.
And over in Texas, a big win for Republicans. In a special election to fill a vacant House seat, GOP candidate Mayra Flores flipping a heavily Latino and historically Democratic House district near the U.S.-Mexico border, chipping away at the slim Democratic majority in the House. Flores taking a hardline stance on issues like border security, earning the support of Texas Governor Greg Abbott and even billionaire Elon Musk, who says he voted for Flores in the primary.
One of the biggest prizes for Trump's mega win of the Republican Party happened in Nevada, where Trump-backed nominees won their U.S. Senate and Secretary of State primaries. The Secretary of State candidate campaigned saying he would not have certified Joe Biden's 2020 election victory in the state. We're now less than 1 week away from the primary runoff elections here in Alabama. With that in mind, tomorrow is the last day to apply for an absentee ballot by hand for the upcoming elections. Friday is the last day to return absentee ballots by hand to the absentee election manager. New information: the man accused of last month's deadly shooting spree in Buffalo, New York, could get the death penalty. The DOJ filed multiple federal hate crimes, which carry the possibility of execution against 18-year-old Peyton Gendron. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of New York says his motive was to, quote, prevent black people from replacing white people and eliminating the white race. 11 of the 13 people shot that day were black. 10 of them died. This afternoon, Mother Nature is threatening the U.S. In Yellowstone National Park, rapid snowmelt in the mountains and large amounts of rain forced thousands of visitors to leave. The National Guard is helping with evacuations. Unprecedented flooding now forcing the park to close all entrances. Officials say warmer temperatures could cause even more snow melt, adding flooding along the Yellowstone River.
Weather coverage you can count on with meteorologist Rob Elvington and the WAAY-31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
And of course, we've been dealing with the dangerous heat here all week, along with the humidity, but look at all that heat and humidity has done. We've got this giant thunderstorm that has developed over parts of Madison County. This is as we look off to the east from downtown Decatur. This view brought to you by the Thompson Roofing and Construction Sky Camera Network. It's 96 degrees in Decatur. Heat index right now at 103, but we have seen some values up to and even above 110 here earlier this afternoon, which does include Huntsville. And there's a look at the WAAY-31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network. This is over the last hour. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for about 11 more minutes for parts of Huntsville and Madison County. And you'll notice that we are seeing a tremendous amount of cloud ground lightning, so that makes that dangerous by itself. But we are also concerned about some gusty winds, possibly up to 40 to 50 miles per hour, but also some damaging hail. It's barely drifting to the north right now, north-northwest at about 10 miles per hour. You could even argue a little bit slower than that. So if we put a track on this should be moving in towards the Dallas area right around 425, Chapman Heights at 429, and then closer to Sherwood Park at about 437. But again, it's actually drifting a little bit slower than what the warning has, so it may not even make it to those locations before falling apart. A closer look at where we're seeing the worst conditions right now: the heavy rain, the hail, closer to the Parkway Estates, and then as you head north up the Parkway towards downtown Huntsville. Again, everyone needs to be indoors. You're also going to see just a tremendous amount of heavy rainfall, which makes visibility drop to near zero. Strongest winds I'm finding right now on the Decatur radar, which is scanning very close to the ground by the time it reaches those parts of Huntsville. It's picking up winds around 25 to 30 miles per hour. So we're also seeing that hail signature starting to drop. So I would not be shocked at any point if maybe the Weather Service cancels this warning a little bit early, but we'll continue to follow it closely. Here's a look at today's severe weather outlook. We've got that giant high pressure system parked just to our north. So a lot of the severe weather today is kind of rotating clockwise around that high. So not only do we have the storms that are developing over top of us right now, we could be tracking some storms developing in North Georgia that could arrive here later this evening. And that's what we're seeing here on future radar. 8 o'clock this evening, mostly quiet over North Alabama, but look at that cluster of storms racing in out of North Georgia. Some of those surviving through parts of DeKalb, Marshall, and Jackson County, but eventually dying out. But even those storms could bring some hail and gusty, possibly damaging winds. All the way through the overnight hours, seeing dry conditions, and then tomorrow into your Thursday afternoon with all that heat and humidity, another round of showers and storms developing. So we'll have to continue to watch that severe threat even tomorrow. There's a look at your forecast for tomorrow. We're back up to the mid-90s, about a 20% chance for storms. That's the air temperature. Look at the feels like forecast, back up to or even above 105 again for the 4th day in a row. And look at the peak heat index values all the way through Friday, still up to or even close to 110, a little bit lower here this weekend, and that's due to the drop in the humidity that's on the way. A lot of greens on the map tomorrow. That indicates all that muggy, dangerous humidity. But look at this. By Saturday, look at all that brown air that's moving in. That's drier than normal air, so that'll bring some relief this weekend before the next heat wave builds in. Look at Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I am forecasting a high of 100. Again, that's the air temperature. Of course, the heat index would be much higher.
All right, Rob, thanks. NASA looking to take the next step towards sending next man and first woman to the moon. The final pre-launch test is now scheduled for this weekend.
Okay, sounds good. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Comfortable.
That's good. Yeah, we're coming out with a new, what I call the new fall lineup, and what I'll probably do is get the two mayors to model it to Here Comes the Hot Stepper, whatever.
New information on the fourth attempt at a final pre-launch test for the Artemis 1 Mega Moon rocket. The wet dress rehearsal is slated to happen Saturday. Other attempts failed due to various leaks that have since been repaired. The crucial test simulates every stage of launch without the rocket leaving the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center there in Florida. After nearly 27 years, an iconic Microsoft product was finally put to rest. Internet Explorer 11 is now incompatible with Microsoft products. The move comes more than 1 year after Microsoft first announced its plan to phase it out. Internet Explorer debuted in 1995 as part of the Windows 95 operating system. It became an instant hit and at one point commanded 95% of the browser market. SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk is getting ready to answer questions from Twitter employees. It's the first time he'll do so since he agreed to buy the social media company. It'll happen during a virtual meeting tomorrow. But questions about what happens after the deal is done comes in the midst of uncertainty over if the $44 billion deal will even happen. 1 year since a mass shooting in North Alabama, a private memorial service held today at the Mueller plant in Albertville to remember those killed and injured.
And the severe thunderstorm warning that includes parts of Huntsville just got canceled early, so that's good news. But we have a flash flood warning that has just been issued for that same area that goes through 7:15 this evening. Really concerned about flooded roadways. Please never drive over those flooded roadways. And of course, we are still tracking the dangerous heat through the rest of this work week. I'll have the latest coming up in the next half hour.
Meteorologist Grace Danello, here I am.
Gates. Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6.
You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 News at 4:30 starts now.
I'm WAAY-31 storm tracker meteorologist Rob Elvington. That severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to expire early, but we do have a flash flood warning that has been issued for parts of Huntsville, and we are still tracking the dangerous heat this evening and through the rest of this week. All the details coming up.
Plus, hiking the price. The Fed raising interest rates by 0.75 percentage point, the largest jump since 1994. And a potentially new weapon against COVID-19. An FDA advisory panel approving Pfizer's and Moderna's vaccines for kids. Parents now waiting for the official green light from the CDC. Thanks for sticking with us for WAAY-31 News at 4:30. I'm Nikel Williams. We have weather team coverage for you this afternoon as North Alabama deals with this heat wave. WAAY-31 meteorologist Grace Anello is making sure you stay cool and hydrated at the Trash Pandas game tonight. But we begin with WAAY-31 meteorologist Rob Elvington in the Storm Tracker Weather Center. Rob, what's the latest on that storm in Huntsville now?
In terms of the severe side of that storm, the hail threat, the wind threat, it has weakened substantially in the last 20 minutes. So that's why that severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to expire early for parts of Madison County, including Huntsville. But it's dropping a tremendous amount of heavy rainfall. And that's why the National Weather Service office has issued a flash flood warning that goes until 7:15 here this evening. See that green box on the map. And this is a look at the WAAY-31 storm tracker early warning radar network. We'll zoom into some streets and you'll notice this is all close to the Memorial Parkway, kind of right through downtown Huntsville. 72 governors all being impacted by this. And yeah, we may not be seeing the hail or the damaging wind threat, but look at all of this lightning. It is very dangerous to be outside. So that's another thing I'll be keeping a close eye on for Toyota Field if you're heading out to the Trash Pandas game, because that lightning is only about 5 miles to the east. Look at the estimated rainfall. This says over the last 24 hours, but we haven't seen any rain in the last 24 hours until this storm formed. And you'll notice that deep green on the map, that's indicating an inch plus already in just the last hour. We're also keeping a close eye on this storm right now in northwestern parts of Madison County. This is just to the north of Madison Crossroads, closer to the Tennessee state line. That's also producing a lot of lightning. So a look at the Panda Stadium. Again, you'll notice that we've got the dark clouds, but they're still out on the field. Still hot through this evening, and we still have that dangerous heat to go through this evening and tomorrow.
All right, here's another look at Toyota Field from our WAAY-31 Thompson Roofing and Construction Sky Camera Network. The Rocket City Trash Pandas are getting ready for Game 2 of a 6-game series against the Montgomery Biscuits. Our team coverage continues now live there with WAAY-31 meteorologist Grace Anello. She has more now on how you can stay cool and hydrated and dry at tonight's game. Hey, Grace.
Hey, Nikel. Yes, we're here at Toyota Field. I got to be honest with you. Toyota Field, the Trash Pandas, they're making my job pretty easy here. We've got a full concourse with plenty of shade in the area, and it's dog day here at the field, and they even have some water stations for your dog. So if you bring your pet, which on a personal note, please do, and come say hello, you can get your dog some water while you're here. Any day of the week, you can bring in an empty water bottle and fill it up at some of the water fountain stations they have all throughout the concourse, and use that during the game. Well, I'm here with a member of our Storm Tracker team, our favorite, the WAAY-31 Storm Tracker, powered by Lynn Layton Chevrolet. And the first 50 kids that come see us today are going to get a free WAAY-31 Storm Tracker backpack. So come on and see us, check out the Storm Tracker. We'll be hanging out in the concourse, get some water, hang out in the shade, and then watch the Trash Pandas take on the Biscuits. Something tells me if the rain holds off, which I'm hopeful, it's going to be a pretty good night. So we're enjoying it here, and we hope to see you guys out at the field in just a little bit. Back to you guys in the studio.
Grace, thanks. Before you head to any Trash Pandas game this season, make sure you know what to expect from Mother Nature. By downloading our WAAY-31 Storm Tracker weather app, you'll have access to the latest and most accurate forecast. It's free for Apple and Android devices. And at 4:30, a private memorial service was held at the Mueller plant in Albertville 1 year after an employee turned gunman entered the job site. The small city tucked away in Marshall County still feeling the weight of the 2 lives lost, 2 people shot and killed and 2 others seriously wounded. WAAY-31's Olivia Schuler joins us live now from the Mueller plant with what she found out at that memorial today. Olivia.
Nikel, workers drove here into the Mueller plant like it was just any other day, but there was an added weight for so many employees. Just 1 year ago, 2 people were shot and killed here at the plant in Albertville. Now they remembered today with a memorial service to remember those 2 lives. One memorial service was held at 1:30 in the morning, the other one held at 1:30 in the afternoon. 2 fire hydrants to remember the 2 men who were shot and killed 1 year ago today.
And we don't have the answers to to why he did it.
365 days later, a majority of people here in Albertville still haunted by the deadly attack on June 15th.
There's people that will be affected the rest of their life because of this.
At 2:15 a.m., a quiet morning turned destructive. A man opened fire, and the reason as to why is still unclear.
We must realize that sometimes we don't get all the answers.
David Horton and Michael Dobbins in the shooter's path, shot and killed. Isaac Bird and Casey Sampson both wounded.
Remember the victims. Don't forget those people.
But Chief Carty says the community prays for all of those now without a loved one.
And there's also a shooter, the offender. His family's suffering. But certainly they had nothing to do with this.
After the shooting, employees returned to work just 6 days after.
They were hurting, and they still are. I've had first-hand experience with the Mueller staff. They took care of their employees. They cared about their employees.
Still searching for answers, but remembering each and every life impacted.
Felt their pain, but I've not experienced their pain. There was a lot of pain and suffering there.
1 year ago today, and still many questions are still left unanswered on what exactly transpired here at the Mueller plant on June 15th. Coming up on WAAY 31 News at 5, we'll tell you where the investigation stands right now. Reporting live in Albertville, Olivia Schuler, WAAY 31 News.
All right, we'll see you then, Olivia. Thanks. The Albertville Survivors Fund helps survivors of the deadly shooting and any employees suffering from psychological trauma. The fund raised over $500,000, helping 10 people affected by the shooting. Happening now, authorities in Limestone County are searching for a convicted sex offender. Tony Glover ran away when investigators from the sheriff's office tried to perform a compliance check last week. If you see him or know where he is, call authorities. The new information is going to cost you more to borrow money. The Federal Reserve met today and approved the largest interest rate increase in nearly 3 decades. Rates are going to go up 0.75%. It's part of a stepped-up effort now to bring inflation down.
The current picture is plain to see. The labor market is extremely tight, and inflation is much too high. Against this backdrop, today the Federal Open Market Committee raised its policy interest rate by 0.75 percentage point and anticipates that ongoing increases in that rate will be appropriate.
The rate increase sparked fears among some that the economy could enter into decline, causing a recession, or worse, so-called stagflation, when rate hikes don't bring down prices but do slow the economy to a point where wages stay stagnant and unemployment rises. One of the places Americans are feeling the most pain is at the pump. According to Gas Buddy, the national average price per gallon is $5.01. The average price in our state is 40 cents lower. Alabama's average right now is $4.61. An FDA advisory panel met today to talk about 2 vaccines for America's youngest age group, the last group of Americans still not eligible for a COVID vaccine. This comes just 1 day after the same panel unanimously voted in favor of Moderna's vaccine for kids 6 to 17 years old. ABC's Rena Roy has more.
It's a day many parents across the country have been waiting for. The U.S. one step closer to vaccinating some of America's youngest.
We have to be careful that we don't become numb to the number of pediatric deaths because of the overwhelming number of older deaths here. Vaccine-preventable deaths are ones that we would like to try to do something about.
An FDA advisory panel voting in favor of Moderna's vaccine for children between 6 months and 5 years old. Now it's up to the CDC to give the official green light. The FDA says both vaccines preliminarily appear to be safe and effective, producing similar antibodies against the Omicron variant as the adult vaccines. Pfizer is given as a 3-shot series and Moderna's is 2 doses.
This is a really big day. We're going to finally see that last group now eligible for the vaccine. It's really the home stretch for so many families who've been waiting in the wings to get their kids vaccinated.
While many parents may be relieved, it is unclear how high demand will be. A recent survey finding only 1 in 5 parents of children in this younger age group plan on getting their kids vaccinated right away. New COVID-19 cases are going up in some parts of the country, the U.S. averaging more than 100,000 new cases each day.
The White House says if approved, shots could go into arms as early as next Tuesday for this youngest age group, which includes 18 million children. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Definitely something to think about. Rena, thanks. Dr. Anthony Fauci tested positive for COVID. The 81-year-old director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases is fully vaccinated and has been boosted twice. Fauci is reported to have mild symptoms and will isolate and work from home for the time being. The institute says he has not had recent close contact with the president or any other senior officials. Making sure you know what to watch out for. The FBI working to make sure your loved ones don't become victims on World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. New at 4:30, it's World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. FBI agents right here in North Alabama want to make sure you and your loved ones don't become a victim. WAAY 31's Luke Hydash has what to watch out for so you don't get scammed.
Elder abuse isn't always physical. Elder fraud counts too. And today, the FBI wants to make sure that the next time you go online or pick up the phone, you're not being conned.
If it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
That old saying holds true now more than ever.
Trust your gut.
Elder fraud becoming more common. Last year, Americans over the age of 60 lost nearly $1.7 billion.
If it doesn't smell right, ask questions, not just of the person that is asking you for money or instructing you to do something that doesn't seem right, but of people that you love and trust that can help give you good.
The most common elder fraud schemes? Well, criminals pretending to be a grandchild asking for cash. Maybe a lottery scam where the bad actors claim you've won a big sum of money. And the most common?
They'll spend months generating
what feels like a very deep relationship.
Romance schemes, mostly fake boyfriends who prey on widows looking for companionship. It's a new one, but it's becoming more popular because it's working. Special Agent Matt Tootle with the FBI says these criminals are no dummies.
Criminals adapting, it's them coming up with new and innovative scenarios.
AARP says keep your guard up, resist the urge to send money if you're being pressured, and always think twice before you give out any personal information.
You got a trusted family member, son, daughter, grandchild, somebody that you genuinely trust. Have regular conversations with them.
The most important thing to do if you think that you or a loved one is a victim, tell police.
To report early and often, even if they suspect that this may be going on. Report it, because that's our greatest chance.
The FBI has put pamphlets like these in senior centers and nursing homes all across North Alabama to make sure that senior citizens right here in the Tennessee Valley know how to keep their guard up. In Huntsville, Luke Hydash, WAAY 31 News.
Great advice, Luke. Thanks. New information. The Biden administration is expected to announce an additional $1 billion in military aid to Ukraine as it continues to fight Russia's invasion. The aid is expected to include shipments of ammunition and coastal defense systems. Officials say the weapons and supplies can be quickly shipped from existing U.S. stockpiles. They say the package will include new contracts for long-term supplies for Ukraine. It's been 1 year since this moment in Geneva, Switzerland. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin shaking hands in their historic first meeting. Today, a spokesperson for the Kremlin said returning to the hopeful spirit of that summit is impossible, but he added continued communication is essential. New details now on that flooding emergency at Yellowstone National Park. Floodwaters washing away homes, destroying bridges, and stranding park visitors and residents. All of this as the summer tourist season kicks off. ABC's Morgan Norwood has the story.
Historic flooding forcing parts of the iconic Yellowstone National Park to close. Days of rain coupled with the rapidly melting snow causing the Yellowstone River to rise to a record 15 feet. The current so strong it swept away roads, bridges, and this massive two-story home. The flooding emergency mounting, rescue crews rappelling from bridges to homes surrounded by water. ABC's Will Carr's there in Montana.
Some neighborhoods still underwater. The big concern right now is when these waters finally recede, how much damage will be left behind.
Meanwhile, thousands of visitors ordered out of Yellowstone Park in areas overtaken by floodwaters.
We started seeing that some of the tables at the campsites were underwater, and that kind of led to a mad scramble to get out of there.
The race to safety, a dangerous one.
Whoa.
Rocks tumbling from the mountain down below, just narrowly missing cars. And after being trapped, Angela Chen and her family fortunate enough to escape.
The townspeople are awesome. I mean, they went out their ways to make sure that we're comfortable.
And no injuries or deaths have been reported as a result of that flooding. Yellowstone National Park, though, will be closed through at least the remainder of the week. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Weather coverage you can count on with meteorologist Rob Elvington and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
And just in the last few minutes, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Madison County, kind of close to the same area that had that severe thunderstorm warning about 45 minutes ago. This goes until 5:15, and you can see all these storms just erupting in the last couple of hours, just slowly drifting from out of the southeast to the northwest. Some of these are hardly moving, and that's why we have a flash flood warning also in place for some of these same areas that have seen these storms over the last couple of hours, because we're really starting to pile up the rainfall total. Some areas probably closing in on 2 inches, if not more at this point. So here's the new severe thunderstorm warnings. The yellow polygon, the green polygon is the flash flood warning, and we're seeing this new storm develop kind of on the backside of the previous storm. So it's back building, and it's training over some of the same locations. So that's why we had that flood threat. And we'll zoom in a little bit closer, kind of right by Hobbs Road. There's Highway 231, of course, the Parkway as you head further north up towards downtown Huntsville. And one thing I kind of keep a close eye on with some of these storms when there's that hail threat, and that's the main reason why we have this severe thunderstorm warning in place, is how tall the storm is, and are we starting to see a little bit of a hail signature lofted above. When we start to see that dropping, that's when we're going to start to see some of those larger hailstones dropping. But some good news, I'm not seeing much in the way of damaging hail. Again, just to the north of Redstone Park, right along Highway 231, as you're heading up the parkway towards Huntsville. That's where I'm seeing the biggest hail, but even that does not seem alarming at this point, but we'll keep a close eye on it. A look at rainfall totals, and this is just really over the last 2 hours. So you'll notice this bright green right along the parkway all the way up to Huntsville. That's closing in on about 2 inches right now. So really concerned about areas closer to 431, 231, of course, Governors, as you get into Huntsville, all the way up to about Highway 72, University Drive. That's where we're really going to start to see some issues on the roadways and just poor visibility. That's some intense heavy rainfall. You can't see, and of course you have that hydroplaning risk if you're driving through it. As we take a closer look at northern Madison County, there of course is the Tennessee state line. This storm is now slowly starting to drift to the north into Tennessee, but still producing some small hail, heavy rain, and some gusty winds. This line right here just developing in the last 10 to 15 minutes. That's also bringing some heavy rain and some small hail. And then I'm also keeping a close eye on these 2 cells that I just developed in Coleman County in the last 30 minutes. These are hardly moving, so this is also a localized flood threat if they could just continue to drop rain over the same locations. Look at the severe weather outlook. This goes all the way through tonight into the overnight hours, and we're also watching storms developing in Georgia. Some of those could drift in to North Alabama here as we head through the rest of this evening. Heat advisory is in place again through 7 o'clock tomorrow, and it's for those dangerous heat index values. Back above 105 again. We actually had values above 110 today in Huntsville and Muscle Shoals. Huntsville hit an official high of 98. We may have touched 112 for heat index. And there's a look at those peak heat index values all the way through the rest of the week. We do drop off this weekend, and that's thanks to a drop in the humidity. A look at future radar again, watching storms moving in from out of Georgia as we head through the rest of this evening. Around 10 o'clock tonight, we may see some of those storms make it to Marshall, Jackson, and DeKalb County before falling apart. And then a few more pop-up storms developing heading into your Thursday afternoon. Should not be as much of a coverage as what we're seeing right now. And again, we've got drier air on the way, but it's not going to be a big drop in the temperatures. We're back up to 97 on Monday, and I'm forecasting 100 for Wednesday of next week.
All right, Rob, thanks. A day full of sports. The Trash Pandas getting ready for first pitch, and the puck is set to drop for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final in just a few hours.
Yes, I'm right here.
You're taking another live look at Toyota Field right now. We've been talking about the heat there, but let's talk about the game. First pitch against the Montgomery Biscuits is set for 6:35. This is the second to last series in the first half of the season. Whichever team is on top of the Southern League North Division on June 26 clinches a playoff spot. Right now, the Trash Pandas have the best record in the Southern League at 35-23. And over on the ice, the NHL Stanley Cup Final begins tonight. The Colorado Avalanche opened the series on home ice, looking for their first championship since 2001. But to do so, they'll have to go through Steven Stamkos and the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are looking for their third straight title. You can watch Game 1 live from Denver, Colorado, right here on WAAY-31, starting at 7. And coming up next on WAAY-31 News at 5, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Madison County. We have live weather team coverage for you tracking these storms.
Sure, doing a mic check. Matt Croshaw, WAAY-31, making sure you can hear me okay. Still doing it, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh. Hey, mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check.
Meteorologist Grace Anello, live at Toyota Field.
You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY-31 News at 5 starts now.
I'm WAAY-31 Storm Tracker meteorologist Rob Elvington. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that is still in effect for Madison County through 5:15, and we have a flash flood warning for the same area in effect through 7:15 this evening. And of course, we're still tracking the dangerous heat wave. Of the latest coming up.
Today, workers at an Albertville plant took a moment to remember the lives lost at a shooting 1 year ago today, where the investigation now stands. And the Federal Reserve made its largest interest hike in nearly 3 decades. The impact it could have on the housing market. Thanks for joining us for WAAY 31 News at 5. I'm Nikel Williams. We continue our coverage now of these storms in North Alabama as we deal with a heat wave. We're bringing you full weather team coverage. WAAY 31 meteorologist Grace Anello is out at Toyota Field before the Trash Pandas play at 6:35 this evening. But first, we're going to go to meteorologist Rob Elvington. He's over in the Storm Tracker Weather Center monitoring current conditions now. Rob.
Yeah, we saw all of that heat and humidity, and of course, with all of that, that created these big, giant thunderstorms in the last couple of hours. That first one forming right over top of downtown Huntsville, where we hit a high today of 98 degrees, warmest day of the year so far, and a peak heat index right around 112. It's the highest value in about 10 years for Huntsville. So some intense heat and humidity fueling these storms. Still 96 in Decatur, 96 in Guntersville. You can see the storms off to the east from our Thompson Roofing and Construction Sky Camera Network. And again, there's a look at the storms. Kind of a corridor of storms kind of falling right along I-65 and off to the east, but these are hardly moving at all. Barely any bit of steering currents. These are just barely drifting to the north at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that's a problem because, yeah, they're dropping hail and some gusty winds, but they're also dropping the heavy rainfall that is really starting to add up. And look at that. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued for parts of northern Madison County and to Lincoln County. Again, most of these storms are going severe because of the hail threat, damaging hail up to about an inch in size. That's what we're seeing here with this part of the thunderstorm closer to the Parkway Estates as you head up 231 and head off to the north. And again, we're also dealing with quite a bit of rainfall. Look at all the rainfall we've seen so far in these areas. That's close to about 2 inches in the last hour. So that heat advisory in effect all the way through 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Just a little bit of a relief this weekend, but on to the next heat wave next week.
Rob, thanks. Our team coverage continues now with WAAY 31 meteorologist Grace Anello. She's live at Toyota Field with our Storm Tracker 31 powered by Lynn Layton Chevrolet, tracking these storms right from the field. Grace?
Yeah, guys, well, we came here to talk about the heat, but the news story is now we're here to talk about the rain. Right now at Toyota Field, we are dry, but the benefit of the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker powered by Lynn Layton Chevrolet is that we can track this weather mobily, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. So we have our Davis Vantage View right there on the top. That's that spinning black wheel that you see. We're tracking it right here in my hand. It's telling me what our temperatures inside, outside, what we can expect from rain. We've also got several cameras in the vehicle. We've got 4 of them. So we're using those to keep an eye on some lightning, some things happening there in the distance, and then we're tracking everything as well. Right now at Toyota Field, like I said, we are dry. Fans are starting to get to the field. We are having the teams be on the field as well. So we're staying hopeful here in the region, but while we're here, we're of course staying mobile in that Storm Tracker powered by Lynn Layton Chevrolet, and we're making sure that we're tracking everything that we have and all the storms that are happening around us, making sure that we can be in the right place at the right time and get you the most accurate forecast based on your location. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Grace, thank you. The TVA has issued another voluntary power curtailment today. The suggested time to cut back is now until 8 tonight due to the high temperatures. They say it's a good idea to refrain from using large appliances. They also say you should turn the thermostat up to 78 between the hours of noon and 8 p.m. through Friday this week. Whether it's storms or heat rolling through the area, make sure you always stay prepared for what Mother Nature throws your way. All you have to do is download the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker weather app. You'll have access to live weather updates for your area. It's free for Apple and Android devices. In at 5, a memorial service was held today for the 2 Mueller plant victims killed in their place of work. This is a picture of 2 fire hydrants with the names of Michael Lee Dobbins and David Lee Horton. Today, employees gathered at 1:30 in the morning and 1:30 in the afternoon for a memorial service. The fire hydrants were designed and built by the Albertville team to remember those co-workers. Plant manager Mike Lang said in a statement, "This beautiful memorial does bring back incredibly difficult memories. However, what has really touched my heart this year is the incredible strength and compassion of our plant team and the extraordinary support from Albertville and the surrounding communities." Investigators are still searching for answers a year after a gunman entered the Mueller plant and killed 2 of his co-workers, injuring 2 others. Many questions still unanswered. WAAY 31's Olivia Schuler joins us live now from the Mueller plant. Olivia, where does this investigation stand right now?
Nikhil, the police chief says they're continuing to look into any new information and tips that may come in, but still it's unclear the motive of the gunman that came here to the Mueller plant 1 year ago and shot and killed 2 of his coworkers. And with the gunman den, there's only so many ways that investigators are able to look into that motive. At 2:15 in the morning, the gunman entered his workplace that morning, turning deadly. David Horton and Michael Dobbins both shot and killed, 2 others injured. Investigators still following leads, but nothing has been able to pinpoint the motives of that gunman.
Nothing's changed with that. I will say that our detective division has worked very hard on it to try to get an answer. And we must realize that sometimes we don't get all the answers. The person that has all the answers ended his life in Gunnersville.
Right after the shooting, the detective division worked on the investigation, calling in other agencies for help. Carty says majority of witnesses came from the plant and were a large part in discoveries this far. Carty says at this point he's hoping that people do not forget the victims and their families and to remember the names of the lives lost 1 year ago. Reporting live in Albertville, Olivia Schuler, WAAY-31 News.
Olivia, thanks. Limestone County deputies are asking for your help locating a missing convicted sex offender. The sheriff's office says Tony Glover ran away from an investigator trying to perform a compliance check on him. That happened on June 9th. They say an air patrol unit worked with the K-9 unit from Decatur Police in a search. That search was unsuccessful. Investigators ask you to call them if you know Glover's whereabouts. You can also find that contact information on our website at WAAY-TV.com. New details now on a jail escape in Tuscumbia. Court documents show Lisa Fretwell went out with inmates for a smoke break in a fenced yard. More than 2.5 hours later, a jailer reported her missing. The investigator says Fretwell spoke to her daughter over the booking phone before leaving through a back door. Police say Fretwell's daughter contacted them about her mother's location. They say Fretwell ran into the woods when they arrived and evaded capture for 3 hours. The face of America's response to the COVID-19 pandemic has tested positive for the virus. Dr. Anthony Fauci tested positive on a rapid antigen test today. The chief medical advisor to President Biden is fully vaccinated and boosted twice. Officials say Fauci is currently experiencing mild symptoms. They say he'll isolate from home and has not been in close contact with the president or senior government officials. Experts are saying Pfizer's antiviral pill Paxlovid has limits on its effectiveness. The pill will help people who are high risk for COVID, but experts say it's not as useful for those who are healthier. The information is based on a study that tested Paxlovid on people who were not high risk. Those findings were based on 1,100 people 18 and older. We are one step closer to getting the last group of Americans vaccinated against COVID-19. Today, the FDA's Committee of Independent Experts met with reps from Moderna and Pfizer all day before voting in favor of authorizing vaccine shots for kids between 6 months and 5 years old. WAAY-31's Xavier Wary joins us live now, and he has more details on the vaccines and thoughts from a parent on the decision. Xavier.
Nikhil, it's a decision that could affect 18 million kids in this country, and some are calling it the home stretch and making sure that every American is eligible to get the vaccine against COVID-19. Now, Moderna and Pfizer, those are the two groups that met with the FDA's independent committee earlier today, and the dosage amount and number of shots will differ with each company. So if you're looking to go with Pfizer, here is what you need to know. Pfizer would be a 3-shot series. The first 2 shots would be 3 weeks apart, and the third dose would be 2 months later. Now, each shot is 1/10 of an adult dosage, which is why there is that third dose for kids. And Pfizer's data shows that they tested at 80% effective in preventing symptomatic COVID infections. Now, if you're looking to get Moderna, that would be a 2-shot series, and it's 1/4 of the adult dosage, which they say is strong enough to prevent illness. However, it was only about 40 to 50% effective at preventing mild infections. And I spoke with a parent of both a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old as news about the vaccines for kids broke out earlier today.
Their immunity hasn't even built up yet. And my kids also don't get the regular vaccines as well. So I don't know, I'm not really too fond of vaccines at a young age. Eventually, probably later on, do I plan on vaccinating my kids with the regular routine vaccines? Yes, but just as they get older.
Now, the CDC would be the last group that needs to approve this decision, and if they do so, shots would be available as early as next Monday, and you could get those shots at hospitals, doctors' offices, or much like the building I'm standing in front of right now, local pharmacies as well. But for now, we are live in Madison County. Xavier Wary, WAAY-31 News.
Xavier, thanks. Let's take a look now at vaccine data here in Alabama. So far, more than 6 million doses have been administered statewide. More than 2.3 million have completed their vaccination series. Madison County makes up more than 204,000 of those completed vaccination series numbers. And now at 5, the Federal Reserve raising its key interest rate by 3/4 of a point, marking its largest hike in nearly 3 decades, signaling more large rate increases now to come that would raise the risk of another recession. WAAY-31's Matt Kroschel spoke with the owner of a mortgage company who's worried this move will lead to a big slowdown in the housing market.
And Nicole, the move will increase its benchmark short-term rate, which affects many consumer and business loans. So what does that mean for anyone looking for a mortgage to buy a home? Better get locked in right now.
When you start messing with the housing market, you're going to mess with the entire economy. And, I think the Fed in this move, this is the biggest rate increase in 28 years.
Will Worthington founded New South Mortgage and says this big move will have real impacts moving forward and could stall this super hot real estate market.
What does it mean for the folks that are buying homes right now? I think you need to hurry up and lock something in.
The central bank ramping up its drive to tighten credit and slow growth, with inflation reaching a 4-decade high of 8.6%, spreading to more areas of the economy and showing no sign of slowing. Worthington doesn't think their move Wednesday is going to help.
So the difference in 200 basis points on a mortgage rate on $400,000 is about $700 a month. So it does make a big difference. And, for most of us, me included, which I've been doing this for 35 years, I don't understand what the Fed's thinking on this, because increasing the rate is not going to slow down this inflation that much. It's going to hurt the consumer even more, and it's going to put us into a recession.
So Worthington says since January, those conventional home mortgage rates have shot up several percentage points, already pricing some would-be home buyers out of the market. Coming up at 6, we get into Huntsville's housing market, a little closer look there, and what this big change means for those home prices. I'm Matt Kroschel, WAAY-31 News.
Matt, thanks. A North Alabama man who left to fight the war in Ukraine, is now missing when he was last in contact, and how the U.S. is now looking to help fight against Russia. Plus, massive flooding at Yellowstone National Park. We take a look at the damage it's already left behind. And tonight on WAAY-31 News at 6, a scientific breakthrough, how 2 North Alabama children changed the way people with a rare kidney disease will be treated in the future. As the war continues in Ukraine, President Zelensky is asking for more military aid. The Ukrainian president says he's grateful for what aid he's gotten, but he also says it's not coming fast enough. Now Russian forces have destroyed bridges around the city of Severodonetsk, which officials say have cut off the city. The Biden administration is expected to announce an extra aid package to be sent to Ukraine. That package would be worth $1 billion. In the package would be ammunition and a coastal defense system. Right now, military officials are saying the war in Ukraine is at a critical deciding point. And the family of a North Alabama man who went to fight in Ukraine has lost contact with him. We reported on Andy Tywin back in April when he left to fight. Representative Alderholt's office says they are trying to get more information, and they say inquiries have been made with the FBI and the U.S. Department of State. Wynn last contacted family on June 8th when he was in the area of Kharkiv. Massive flooding causing major misery now in Montana. Days of rain along with rapidly melting snow are causing rivers to rise to record highs there. Floodwater washed away homes, destroyed bridges, and stranded people at Yellowstone National Park.
We started seeing that some of the tables at the campsites were underwater, and that kind of led to a mad scramble to get out of there.
The big concern is just how much damage will be left behind once the floodwater recedes. Despite the devastating floods, no one has been hurt or killed. Huntsville city offices will now be closed next Monday for Juneteenth. Animal services, public transportation, and municipal court will also close. This also means your garbage collection will be delayed. 2022 is the first year Huntsville is observing Juneteenth, which became a federal holiday last year. The day commemorates the day in 1865 when slaves in Galveston, Texas learned the Civil War was over and they were free.
Weather coverage you can count on with meteorologist Rob Elvington and the WAAY-31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
Another dangerously hot day for North Alabama. Thankfully, just got some words out of the National Weather Service. Looks like that severe thunderstorm warning for Madison County was canceled. So right now, the only remaining severe thunderstorm warning is in Coleman County, and it's for that threat of hail. But here's a look at those storms as we look off to the east from downtown Decatur. This view brought to you by the Thompson Roofing and Construction Sky Camera Network. It's 96 degrees still in Decatur. It's dry. Of course, getting maybe a little of that rain-cooled air in over the next hour. But look at the heat index. It's at 106. How about Huntsville? Huntsville at 98 today. We briefly saw some heat index values above 110. Of course, it's cooler now in parts of Madison County after just picking up all of that rainfall over the last few hours. So the feels like temperature at 97 at the Huntsville International Airport. Still, again, feels like 106 in Decatur, 108 in Coleman, 111 in Scottsboro, and 104 in Muscle Shoals. Muscle Shoals, you hit a high of 99 today. So both Huntsville and Muscle Shoals, the warmest day of the year so far. A look at the WAAY-31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network. Most of the storms that we're seeing are just to the east of I-65. These are barely drifting to the north and northwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And a lot of these storms are back building, so they're seeing development off to the south and kind of riding over top of the same locations. That brings that flood risk, and that's why we have that flash flood warning in place through 7:15 this evening for Huntsville. That was the severe thunderstorm warning that was just canceled. It was for this storm off to the north and northeast, right along the Tennessee state line, just to the east of Hazel Green. Still seeing quite a bit of heavy rainfall and lightning, but the hail signature, it's really dropped off. You have to start to see the bright blues when we start to see some of that damaging hail. We're in the grays right now, so not a huge concern. But again, hail and lightning and heavy rain will still cause some issues here through the next 30 minutes. Look at some estimated rainfall totals. Look at that, right over top of Huntsville, right along the Parkway, about 2 inches estimated just in the last 2 hours. The core of that, again, right along 231 and just to the south of Governor's 431, right in the middle of downtown Huntsville. So if you can avoid that area here through the next couple of hours and let it dry out some, please do. We're also still keeping a close eye on these storms in North Georgia. These are also heading in our direction. Some of the data indicates that they could survive here as they arrive in about 3 to 4 hours from now. Severe weather outlook for today. We're just on that edge of a 1 and 2 out of 5 severe risk. That's what the yellow indicates, a 1 out of 5. Orange just to the south, a 2 out of 5 severe risk. Once we get past this evening, though, tomorrow we're back up to the mid-90s, if not the upper 90s for your Thursday. Looks like the coverage of storms will be less than what we saw today, but still that chance for some stray storms. But look at the feels like forecast back above 105 again, and that's why we have that heat advisory in place for your Thursday. We'll likely see one issued for Friday because look at the feels like forecast for Friday. We do see a drop off in the values by this weekend, but we are back above 100 for this upcoming Monday. And a quick look at future radar. Again, a lot of these storms dissipating overnight. We'll see less storm coverage heading into your Thursday afternoon. And then the extended forecast after the brief break this weekend, we're up to around 100 by the middle of next week.
Triple digits. Rob, thanks. After 27 years of service, one internet giant is entering retirement today. How it's signaling the end of a digital era. Huntsville police now inviting you to a free movie night tomorrow. They'll be playing Disney's Encanto at 7. So bring some blankets and lawn chairs to the Dr. Robert Sherney Legacy Center. HPD says they'll give free popcorn and soda to the first 200 people who arrive. They'll also have a bicycle giveaway. And if you're still using Internet Explorer, Microsoft says it's time to make the switch. The company retired their browser today. The browser has been operating since 1995 and came with the Windows 95 operating system. Internet Explorer also used to dominate 95% of the internet market. Now the browser sits at a measly 5% as it enters retirement. Staying on the internet, Instagram announced it's rolling out new teen safety features. They say the 2 new features are aimed at nudging teens away from harmful content. The social media giant says it'll send notifications if teens are looking at the same types of content. The platform says they'll also remind teens to take breaks. Rob?
We still have one remaining severe thunderstorm warning that's right on the county line of Coleman and Blount counties. But you'll notice that we still have storms that are still drifting through North Alabama. We're really concerned about localized flooding and even flash flooding in downtown Huntsville. Temperatures are going to slow to drop off unless you get some of that rain here this evening. And we're going to see it once again for tomorrow. Heat advisory in effect all the way through 7 o'clock Thursday evening. Would not be shocked to see another one issued for Friday because there's really not going to be a drop in the temperatures until this weekend. Thankfully, with the cold front coming through on Saturday, it will bring a drop in the humidity. And you'll notice the temperatures next week, 97 on Monday, 98 on Tuesday, 100 on Wednesday. That will be with lower humidity.
For 24/7 coverage you can count on, local news, breaking news, and severe weather, just go to WAAY-TV.com. Don't go anywhere. World News Tonight with David Muro starts in just a few minutes right here on WAAY 31.